Welcome, I'm Bill Wake. I messed up the recording somehow, so we're starting very, very late. So I'll spend a few minutes catching up to where we are and move on from there. I kept looking at the chat and going like, it's so odd, nobody's chatting. But now I think I know why. All right, so what we've done so far without you, the first was we localized the error message for duplicate names. So I renamed that class to table rename table analysis. All right, where's SQL? All right, and the message we put that in the localize stuff with this message, and it's pretty similar there. Then the next thing we added was we said, hey, you shouldn't be able to have an empty table name either. So now our messages, we get a list of names. We check if there are any empty, and if there are, then we make an empty, we basically make a warning that says, you have these tables empty. We had to take the original tables because the rename table is empty, so there's nothing to tell you there. But we detect that error as well. So the main flow of this thing now, build the list of names, check if any are empty, check if any are duplicates, and if so, return the duplicate message. Okay. And that's the one we localized. So Warren rename, all right. And yeah, that covers most of it. Okay. Then I made the, well, not exactly the mistake, but I noticed that when we had the list of stuff in the join, the list is not alphabetical. It's alphabetical by the field name, but not by the title of this. Okay, so it should be class, 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 all 6 class fields, then person, then name, registration. But for whatever reason, it's only sorting this. So capital ones before lowercase, and then in order within that. Same thing here, class, ID, instructor, person, that's alphabetical order. So that made me it made me a little suspicious. Then it got worse. So I put some printing in so we can see what was being looked up and what was being compared. And the issue is that the name we're given, the UUID we're given, the table reference, is not in the table. And so we just print everything becomes question mark dot name and question mark dot whatever. And since these are all the same first few characters, it just boils down to comparing by the field name. All right. And that's kind of where I realized, like, oh, you've messed up the recording process. Okay. So with this, so my attempt so far is I put the debugging code in here, which is database selection. All right, so here's the scoped columns list, and we were getting the result the way we expected and then sorting it. So I put something in to print the left hand, right hand, and result, and then just return based on that. And that's how come we can see that these ref IDs are legit IDs, but they're not found in the table. And just a few minutes ago, what I realized is we have this table reference to selection, but if I find the usages, it's only used, well, it's used in a test and it's used in this class, but nothing in here ever sets it. It gets created empty. The prints don't count. The return looks at the table reference, but doesn't change it. And same thing for this one. And so it tells me we're looking for things wrong. And we definitely need to use that table reference. Otherwise we can't sort by the adjusted name, the renamed name. Okay. And so, I just now changed this from a variable to a function, and now I want to pass in the table reference to selection and take it out of here. Okay, so it got initialized, and then I want to pass it in here. Now, scoped columns, it's getting it here is going to be a bit of a pain. This should be a colon now. All right, and so a bunch of places now call this, but they don't have the references. I'm going to pass empty for this one. And put one of my rare to-dos in. Okay. I guess I can put it on the end of that line. Might be a little more suggestive. Okay. So now these, why are these not complaining? Oh, because I put the argument in. All right. Now the callers should complain. Who calls scoped columns? All right. Yeah. Database selection.bridge. Where's it going to get it? Well, that's the tricky part. Okay, so now you're caught up to a bunch, after a bunch of my floundering around. The deal is it has this. I don't necessarily want to rebuild it every time, though, is the problem. Now, the usage of this is really in the view. So the view has this table reference selection, and it sets it down below. Okay, there's the state. It passes it to the table view, all tables view, passes it to the joins, all joins view, and then here it sets it. When we change the database, we set this. And then when we change the view, I think it's one table view, yeah. One table view updates this, which is bound up here. Up here. So that binding is coming from the top level database view, and this thing changes it. Now the piece I'm not sure of is how to get it into the bridge. If I just reference this, is it wrong? Well, I don't think it really is per se. I mean, that is the selection. No, it does not own it. Well, it kind of does. The table selection knows the ID of this table, each table, and it knows the name. Well, really, so this is where it's implicitly making it default to the same as the class name. Which is not right. $0 is a table selection. Oh, we're mapping to the whole table selection. Right. Okay. So I think I think this is legit. It's a little twisted how we're getting it from here to there, but I think we can pass this in. That. It's not getting the one that the view holds, but it should be identical to the one the view holds. I think we're going to get it working, and then we'll straighten it all out. Something. Okay, and now, all right, that should build maybe some tests. Yeah, to do should be resolved. Yes. Okay. We'll run the tests. Okay. Okay, that's this table ref to selection. Okay. All right. Okay, so we're pass in the table reference to selection when we get scoped columns. Okay, so now I think we're doing it right from this perspective. That first column thing may be messed up, may even blow up, but we'll have to have the view to see that. Okay, so this. Okay, these all have the name in there. Add join class instrument equals class instrument. Now if I change this, class 2, okay. Why does first not care? I'm less clear about why it doesn't care, but is the list in order? Whoops. Okay, class 2, person, registration, instrument name, time slot ID. Upper, lower, I can live with that. We could convert them to upper. Oh, here's one that's not. Class FK. That's registration. Oh, it feels like we got some of it. We got most of it. Now they're falling apart. Yeah, we're not using the real one. That's the problem. I mean, it kind of appears to work, but something's not right. And let's see this first column thing and see what's going on there. I mean, realistically, he needs the same information because he's asking for a description. He gets the list and then takes the first one. but he passes in empty for all those. So maybe that is those first column ones that are messed up. All right, let's turn this. Oh no, we passed the test, so let's check this in. Use table selection. What's it called? Oh, no change. Already did check that in. Okay, so we can change this. All right, so let's make this one take the same kind of argument. All right, that's going to break some people. Oops. Let's make this a func first. Okay, now people should be, they should be complaining. Whoever used this without parentheses. And maybe a few tests. I thought I got rid of those table warnings, but apparently not. Surely there's tests that grab the first column from something. Maybe not. They might just compare join objects or something. All right. Now let's make this change again here. And these warnings. Somebody should complain. Come on. Right. All right. Now let's do this. Get rid of those issues. Get rid of the, well, there's no test results. Get rid of the build. And test. Okay, so we make first column require table reference to selection. Okay, now I don't anticipate seeing any question marks. We'll find out if that's true. Okay, so none of those brought up any question marks. Let's do some add joins. Nope. Let's do a rename. Okay, they're still, they got class 2 and then class 22. Okay. All right. Let's see. So that went through. I think we fixed this then. All right, let's clean up. Rename table analysis. Okay. Was database selection. Okay, so I don't need these prints anymore. Might not need the return. Can't convince it. Okay, well, I think this stuff's going to change anyway as we do the renames on this. All right, but make sure we're still green. Okay, that, and then I'll take this out. Okay. Oh, I guess I didn't show this either. The messages they just used to return table join analysis. Now we're taking them and we'll take the ones, take any analysis we do, filter out anything that's not empty, and then join those together and make that the messages. Okay. I mean, I think this is still a little confusing. Pity we can't just put less than there. Okay, so database selection, more or less okay. Database view, we didn't really change it for this. I don't know if I want to save this for another day, but I mean, it seems like everything in there, it's like selection could make that, right? That's nothing to do with the bridge. And the big thing is the bridge knows the table selections, because it knows database selection, which has all the table selections. So I'm going to add this as a future task. I don't know why future me is going to be happier to do it, but let's hope. I'm going to save it after renaming, but figure out how is set in bridge and if we can move that elsewhere. All right, make join list, sort by class and field. All right. Good. Was feed only due to an error in how we pass around table selection to table reference to selection. Okay, and then database selection. No, that's the test. The think I've closed it. Open DB selection. Selection. All right. Is anybody referencing this now? I don't think so. Selection.table selections. But why? We'll see if they need to. Database view is $bridge. Oh no. How weird. References. Selection.table selections. Okay, that's questionable to me. It's not clear to me that this thing owns that anymore. But it seems to be. All right, let's add that to the to-do. Oh, table selections. No, I don't want that. That's the wrong thing. Table reference to selection. That's the one I should not see anywhere. Okay. And this test. Right, they pass that table in, but selection's never looking at it. So I think that is unneeded. Well, I keep closing that one. All right, I think nobody references this now. All right, so delete now unused table reference to selection. That looks worse than I want it to for sure. I don't know. I guess I'm wondering if we really need it. Let's see what description's doing. Description is scoped column. Let's take this out. That was our debug code. Okay, that. I guess this thing does need it. Oh, more's the pity. I don't know. I wonder if I'm fighting something that I don't have to fight, because I would really love to just pass a reference to this table into the constructor of the scoped column and have it look at the current table, and the class that owns it deals with it. Um, that's kind of a medium-sized change, though. So I don't know. All right, let's check this in. All right, remove debug code. Okay. I guess I'm going to make that a question. Can reference to selection whether those tests need, let's find that again. Yeah. Oh, that was table selection. They were okay. Because the table selection has all the information. Oh, does it? I think it has all the information needed to reconstruct the reference to selection table. Whether how we get it where we want it, I don't know. I mean, what it seems to me is that database selection, that's the source of truth for this thing. The table reference to table selection, I mean, he knows the table selection, so he shouldn't need. I don't know. I mean, I'm creating new scoped columns. Yeah, I just can't tell. It feels like the information is there. A table selection knows its ID. It knows it knows that table selection knows itself. So it should have the information, which means table database selection should have the information. And that's the truth. I mean, that selection to reference thing is derived from this truth and changed when this truth changes. I mean, everything that's going through here, the only reason you need this is because scoped column needs a reference to it. But I guess database selection, how does it know that a name has changed, right? unless you rebuild that table every time, which seems, I mean, it's not, you're not going to have 100 tables you're working with. You know, you're going to have 5. You know, I could see 10 maybe in some super ambitious thing, but, you know, joining 10 tables together, that's kind of not really looked highly on, I guess. You know, it's a little weird. Although sometimes you get that stuff because you'll have this references a field and the description of that field has the list of possible keys or their translations or something. You know, you can have multiple fields like that, but I don't think you have 100. So running through generating a list of 10 is not that bad. They are value objects, so you are copying some stuff around. I guess what I want to know is, does database view, it knows the table selections. I mean, it can get to selection, which is the database selection. And so this action down here, oh no, the action on one table view and that thing says when I change the table, I'm going to update that table reference thing, but does he have access to, okay, he does not have access to the database selection. He only has access to the table selection. Maybe we should be making database selection the primary thing and get rid of this. I'll leave that as another question. I guess you need to know your table selection because you need to know which one you're working on and the database selection so you can tell it things have changed. I don't know. We will see. All right. Well, we're going to stop here. I'm not going to do this. I think we're just going to let that ride for now. Allow adding new tables. That's kind of the next thing for this. So when you're in here, notice these table, we have add joins, but we don't have add tables. I think I'm going to put a little drop down with a list of all the possible tables and then an add table button. And this one could do the same thing. Instead, we have the joins in here. You know, we could provide this equals this followed by add join and add it read only. That might be a little better. I don't know. It would force you to specify something, and we get rid of that first. That would be an improvement. All right, so let's add a question there. Should add join specify the join and then just display it rather than providing widgets? Yeah, I think that's reasonable. All right. Well, that'll do it for this week. So next week, 2 to 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time or 7 to 9:30 p.m. UTC. And I believe we will come back and we'll deal with adding a new table, adding a new join, and then get on to renaming fields next week. So they're going to have a similar equals some new name, and we're going to have a bunch of work to do to get that working. And it kind of means maybe we should do this stuff first. I don't know. Maybe it is better to just get this quote right and not be an issue when we're renaming fields. Then we don't have to worry about passing. I don't know. We'll have to have another structure or something around. Seems like overkill. Really, I just want to know when something gets renamed, tell the containers that it needs to adjust things, and hopefully the view can accept that. All right. Thanks again. Sorry for the late start. Yeah, I just screwed up something hitting recording. I just missed the button or something. Or, the broadcasting. So I'll try again next week. All right. But thank you. See you later. Bye bye.